Over the past few years, gamers have had to become extremely vocal in order to protect their entertainment, and there are companies out there who hate that. They want us to shut up, consume product, and move on to supporting the next pile of slop that they're trying to release, and that is not working out well for them. Every single time they release a game with forced narratives, every single time they release a game with predatory microtransactions, and every single time they release a game that is below the level of quality we expect for a full-priced experience, yeah, they get absolutely roasted and they cannot deal with that. But now Visa and Mastercard are gamers' targets because they are, of course, seemingly forcing censorship upon certain platforms, but they're denying any direct involvement. And I had talked just a few days ago about Visa claiming, oh, guys, this isn't our call, and now Mastercard is doing the same exact thing. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, over the past couple of days, we've been hearing that apparently Visa and Mastercard's customer contact lines have been overwhelmed with angry gamers, and I love to hear that. I love to hear that people are trying to have their voices be heard, and they are speaking up about the problems that they currently have. I've talked about censorship on this channel for years at this point. My first video on censorship in the industry goes back 6 years, which is crazy to think about, but I have tried very hard to defend our entertainment like many other creators. There are so many phenomenal individuals out there who have tried to bring so much attention to this situation and similar ones over the past few years, and it sucks that we have gotten to the point where any adult theme now is being targeted. We are not just talking about sex simulator games. We could be talking about gore, violence. We could be talking about just sexual themes in general. We could be talking about anything that could land a game an M for mature rating. And now Visa and Mastercard are denying their direct involvement in this censorship amidst major backlash. So it says, in an escalating controversy shaking the gaming industry, payment giants Visa and Mastercard have issued statements denying direct involvement in the recent wave of adult-themed game removals from platforms like Steam and itch.io. These denials come amid accusations that the companies, under pressure from activist groups such as the Australian organization Collective Shout, are indirectly enforcing censorship through their policies on high-risk merchants. So I don't think I really need to sit here and explain who Collective Shout is, but I think we've all come to the realization at this point that this isn't happening just because Collective Shout complained. Sure, they might be a reason why these plans were hastened along, but I think that these credit card companies wanted this to happen in the first place, and they were going to push for this anyway, and so they figured, you know what, hey, we're gonna allow Collective Shout to take responsibility and scream it from the mountaintops because it takes the pressure off of them. It takes attention off of these credit card companies. That's why I have been making so many videos over the past few days on Visa and Mastercard, because of course they want less backlash being levied towards them, and they're going to allow you to go and attack Collective Shout. And I think that we do still need to put pressure on Collective Shout and call them out on all of the disgusting statements that they're making and all of the lies that they're pushing about the video game industry. But our focus really does need to be on banks, payment processors, and credit card companies. But in response to the growing backlash, both Visa and Mastercard have publicly denied actively moderating content or pressuring platforms directly. Of course, Visa said that they do not moderate content sold by merchants, nor do they have the visibility into the specific goods or services sold when we process a transaction. When a legally operating merchant faces an elevated risk of illegal activity, we require enhanced safeguards for the bank supporting those merchants. And now Mastercard has also released a statement, which, by the way, it wasn't even on their main X account. It was on their Mastercard News one. Though they are getting absolutely raked across the coals for it. They said, clarifying recent headlines on gaming content, Mastercard has not evaluated any gamer-required restrictions of any activity on game creator sites and platforms, contrary to media reports and allegations. Our payment network follows standards based on the rule of law. Put simply, we allow all lawful purchases on our network. At the same time, we require merchants to have appropriate controls to ensure Mastercard cards cannot be used for unlawful purchases, including illegal adult content. Now, as I always say, if a piece of content is properly rated, then it should be allowed for sale on a platform. Sex simulator games are legal content, therefore they should not be removed from certain platforms and they should be available for purchase. But they are being very tricky here because they are technically correct. They haven't done anything. They've just scared companies into doing it themselves. And they have said, if you don't remove this content that could be illegal from your platform, we are going to have no other choice but to rip away the options that our company provides to you. And that is how they are getting around this. They are still at fault. They're just trying to be technical about it. And both Mastercard and Visa claim to allow all illegal content, but they're a global company. And that means they can claim this and follow like China's laws on speech and content and apply that to anybody worldwide. And that is the major problem that I have at this point. People in the United States are being affected by this, even though video games and books and movies and music, those are all protected speech, right? We are talking about these entities that really have monopolies being able to control certain platforms by threatening them. Well, technically, guys, we're not the ones removing the content. We can see through your bullshit. Okay, this is why you guys are getting wrecked. And to top all of that off, over the past couple of years, they have been the reason why certain platforms have had to shut down. I've talked about, Ken Akamatsu's platform, Manga Library Z, that had to be shut down because payment processors ripped their services away, even though it was basically just an archival source for manga. But Visa and Mastercard actually refused to work with several retailers only last year in Japan. PictSpace, a Japanese online shopping service, had their ability to take payments through Visa and Mastercard ripped away from them. That is insane. Western credit card companies and their agencies refuse to work with Japanese retailers that sell explicit adult titles. So yeah, because they're global companies, they can say it's got to follow the law. They're not specifying what laws or whose laws. They're just specifying the word law, which is crazy. And this is why gamers are roasting them for this. Imagine thinking you could gaslight at this point instead of being honest and just simply backtracking. This is actually insane. You guys have let power go to your head. It may work with the rest of business, but not and never will with gamers. Try again. Nice gaslight. They pressured companies to take down legal adult content, period. It's not illegal just because it makes you feel uncomfortable. And this is a really good point. I personally would not buy these sex simulator games. I have no interest in playing or consuming these sex simulator games, but I will always sit here and defend them because they are legal content that should be able to be sold on these platforms. Sometimes adult themes are going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes art is uncomfortable. Sometimes you might see themes of incest or rape or violence in books and movies, TV shows, video games, and you personally might not want to consume that content, and that is perfectly fine. Nobody's forcing you to buy it, but there are other people who can see the difference between fiction and reality, and it's not our fault that you guys cannot tell the difference. We should not be punished for that. Resorting to blatant gaslighting now, huh? Yeah, they're nervous. Keep up the pressure, and I think that this does show a really good turn of events. I think that this is really good because it means that they are actually facing the pressure that we've been hearing about. That means that their phone lines might be clogged up. It might mean that people are tagging them millions and millions of times on social media. And they've got Visa and Mastercard trending, and it's not just us speaking into the void. They actually are being affected. You claim to follow the law and avoid moral judgments, yet you let foreign extremists like Collective Shout influence you and how you enforce your policies, banning entire broad categories of legal entertainment to appease their agenda. This directly contradicts what Steam and Itch have said. You've turned your platform into a weapon against free expression and your own customers. So, of course, I'll definitely be keeping my eye on this situation, but right now they are saying, guys, technically they haven't changed any of this content, evaluated any of it, or said any of it can't be sold, even though we know that really that's just very tricky wording, and of course, right, they're scaring companies into doing it themselves, but they are being absolutely wrecked by gamers for it. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.